Eve to Her Daughters by Judith Wright. In this part, we shall be explaining it simply line-wise, and any other further explanation or further notes would be discussed in the next one. Now, it was not I who began it, turned out into draughty caves. So it was not I. Here I is Eve herself, and she says it was not I because of whom we landed into draughty caves. Hungry so often, having to work for our bread, hearing the children whining, I was nevertheless not unhappy. So it was not I who began it. So though we know from the biblical reference that it was Eve who had first consumed the fruit from the tree of knowledge, yet she says that it was not I who began it, that is, the complaining that comes afterwards. That is due to their punishment. They were banished from heaven and they were brought to earth, and therefore they were living in caves. They were hungry, they had to fend for themselves, they had to work to earn their bread, they had to do every other thing like any other mortal human being. They had to listen their children cry out of hunger, and still yet she was nevertheless unhappy because she knew that she was with the love of her life, she was happy with Adam, and she was not at all ungrateful for at least that, and therefore she was trying to cope her best with the things that were still present with them in their lives. Where Adam went, I was fairly contented to go. I adapted myself to the punishment. It was my life. So it clearly shows that she had reconciled with her life, with her fate, and she knew that whatever she knew and she had accepted it in that way. And therefore where Adam was, it was her life. It was her life with him, wherever they go and however they live. But Adam, he kept on brooding over the insults, over the trick they had played on us, over the scolding. So on the scolding that they had undergone, the punishment they had been inflicted upon, everything he took it egoistically. So he had taken it as if it was an insult. It was a great shame, it was a great insult, and he was not the one who was at fault. It was not his mistake. And therefore he could not reconcile with his fate. He could just not accept it and be happy with it, or rather not at all happy, but at least be satisfied. He couldn't do that either. He had discovered a flaw in himself and he had to make up for it. So it was because of him that they were there. It was because of both. Now it was also because of him that they were down on earth, and therefore he knew that it was his fault, that he was bound to live and survive in this earth and work so much, fret so much, and therefore he did not like this, and he wanted his life to be flawless and perfect as it was before. Outside Eden, the earth was imperfect. The seasons changed, the game was fleet-footed. So the game was fleet-footed. It was all like a game. It was all like a trick there that was played upon them, and then they were tricked and they were bound to be on earth just like that. Everything was bound to change. Nothing on earth was permanent. The game was fleet-footed. Thus it might have two connotations. That is, one, that they were played upon, so that is the trick that was played in heaven, and another is that the animals here that one had to hunt in order to survive and eat were really fast, too fast for him, and therefore things were very tedious, things were tougher than they ever were, and he had to work for our living, and he didn't like it because things were not in the same manner. Things were very easy and comfortable and easily available in heaven, and here they had to strive for every little minute thing. He even complained of my cooking. It was hard to compete with heaven. So she was the one still who was doing the cooking, but yet things had changed so much, and so much to his dissatisfaction, that the same things even were not enough to keep him happy. So the standards were not met. That was the main problem. In the next stanza, that is the third stanza, so he set to work. The earth must be made a new Eden, with central heating, domesticated animals, mechanical harvesters, combustion engines, escalators, refrigerators, and modern means of communication, and multiplied opportunities for safe investment and higher education for Abel and Cain. So everything in detail has been talked about, that what were the things that he wanted on earth, such that he could build his own Eden here on earth. And that was itself an arrogant task to do. That a creation itself is wanting to be the creator, and that would again mean destruction and downfall. Yet he was on his pursuit and he kept on working at it. And you can see how pride had been hurt, and therefore the pride has to be hurt. This pride of his must be shattered and would be shattered eventually. In the process, he had to unravel everything. So he has to understand the working and mechanism of every little thing that goes on earth, and then he has to change it. He has to change it into better, to bring about a progress. That is again another indication towards mechanization, industrialization, because he believed that mechanism was the whole secret. And if he could crack that, he could make earth into Eden very easily. He was always mechanical minded. So, in the pursuit of making earth and Eden itself, he would eventually fail into looking after the benefits and welfare of nature and earth itself, and fulfilling only his selfish desire of converting it into something better, something which is not, and thus deliberately forcing earth into destruction and deterioration in the pursuit of bringing about progress, like the modern world is at present. He got to the very inside of the whole machine, exclaiming as he went, "So this is how it works." So it seemed as if he had understood everything, he would understand everything one by one, and he was getting into every little thing. And now that I know how it works, why? I must have invented it. And therefore, he keeps on inventing and inventing things and machines for a better, easier, comfortable life. As for God and the other, they cannot be demonstrated, and what cannot be demonstrated doesn't exist. So science shows him, reason shows him that nothing that cannot be demonstrated, that cannot be shown, that cannot be exhibited need be believed. And therefore his faith gradually died down. And he is meaning that God and the others, so God, Satan, all these things one cannot see, one cannot explain, and the science cannot explain, and therefore I must say that they don't exist. So he is denying the very existence of God. And what cannot be demonstrated doesn't exist. You see, he had always been jealous. So he was jealous of a superior power because he knew that there was something, and therefore he denied its existence itself, such that the fact that he was punished, such that the very person who had hurt his ego was nullified, his existence was nullified, and thus he could rewrite his own story. Yes, he got to the center where nothing at all he can be demonstrated. So he got to the center, he got into things where nothing at all can be demonstrated. He went on, and everything. He left nothing that cannot be demonstrated, that cannot be explained scientifically. And clearly, he doesn't exist, but he refuses to accept the conclusion. Now, if he, Adam himself, thought that he has understood everything, every mechanism, every working of every principle on earth, that means he is godlike. He is the creator, and he can create anything and everything. He is flawless. And the fact that God is flawless, if he is denying that, therefore, if he is trying to make or turn his imperfections into something perfect, something flawless, he himself doesn't exist. So that's the conclusion. Because flawless is God who doesn't exist. So if he is claiming that he is flawless, therefore he too doesn't exist. But he would never listen to the conclusion of it, but keep on claiming the first part, that he is flawless, he is perfect, and nothing can defeat him. He is invincible. You see, he was always an egotist. Now, egotist is a person who believes that he is the only superior and he is the superior over all. So, the sense of superiority. So, Adam always believed that he was superior. It was warmer than this in the cave. There was none of this fallout. I would suggest, for the sake of the children, that it's time you took over. So, if she could ever suggest him, or she would have stopped him in his pursuits, and she would have told that the world is already a better place to live in if we are satisfied, if we accept our own fate. But it was impossible to make Adam come to her terms. So here the fallout has two meanings, has a double meaning. That is, one, which is the fallout that occurs between people after an argument, and the second one can also be the side effect, the residual material after something has been invented, or like an explosion, it has an after effect. So you might have understood the mechanism and invented the nuclear power, but the resultant, the residual material after the explosion, is the fallout. So she implies at the human created destruction. I would suggest, for the sake of the children, that it's time you took over. So she is giving a call out to all the descendants. So here, as if Eve seems to be saying that Adam's leadership has failed humanity because he did not act with consideration for the future, and therefore Fetus's view that a feministic attitude is also coming out, where she urges the women not to be passive, not to be blindly submissive to their men, and rather to act immediately, urgently, such that to bring the humanity back, to restore humanity, to restore the previous good conditions of earth, to restore earth in its original form. So women should take leadership roles. But you are my daughters. You inherit my own faults of character. You are submissive, following Adam even beyond existence. So you are blindly following male counterparts because you have inherited this submissive attitude from me itself. It's not your fault, but still it is time that you act against it, and you try to be guided by reason through examples that I have drawn here for. And faults of character have their own logic, and it always works out. And you see how the fault of character I have clearly exhibited in front of you, and therefore go by logic. It will always show you the right path. I observed this with Abel and Cain, and can't you see what happened with Abel and Cain, and what happened to them, how their downfall was there, how they were eventually doomed. So perhaps the whole elaborate fable right from the beginning is meant to demonstrate this. Perhaps it's the whole secret. So the whole secret of life is not understanding the minute working of every single machine or organism, but it is the whole secret itself is understanding that faults and mistakes and human errors are what from one should learn and not repeat. Perhaps nothing exists but our faults. So, this whole fable just shows you that what is the fault. So, when you try to be flawless, when you try to know it all, then comes your downfall. So, science and logic can't define every single thing. But it's useless to make such a suggestion to Adam because Adam won't believe it, because he is the one who takes decisions and doesn't accept orders, and therefore he is the one who likes to be the leader and may not be the follower. So he has turned himself into God who is faultless and doesn't exist. So these last two lines are just ironical, that he is the one who claims to be the God But he himself was the one who said that faultless, flawless doesn't exist because it itself is hypothetical. So, the very essence of life is mistakes and what we have done and what happened after those mistakes. So, faults are demonstrable, and therefore, when you have demonstrated, when it has been elaborately demonstrated that what happens when you commit a fault, then don't commit the fault again. So for Eve, faults provide proof of existence, and because God is faultless, this proves that Adam does not exist, since he has tried to replace God with himself. So, since Eden is a flawless creation and God has created it, but God himself doesn't exist in the eyes of Adam, and therefore, when Adam is trying to convert this earth into Eden, it's obvious that his existence can also be denied easily. And therefore, in his pursuit of denying God's existence, he is claiming himself to be the God, is an ironical fact.